Legends, I am giving away 2 copies of Dragonflight. It is only available to NA and Oceanic users, unfortunately, no EU gifters. One winner is going to be picked from the comments section on YouTube, and the other one is going to be given away via Discord. So to give yourself the best chance, make sure you comment on the videos, make sure you come and jump in the Discord. Okay, so looking over the MDT we're going to be covering off in today's Iron Docs. Start of the key, we're going to double pull here and hero. You can also elect to save hero for this pull here. I do talk about a couple of pull variations where you'll see people invising into this section here and lusting straight away on a big pull here. The problem with this in pugs is if you wipe, you have no wipe recovery basically. So in the route today I'm showing you today, it's just really stock standard W. So double pull here and hero with the Battle Master. I'll cover off all the mob abilities in the video. We then pull Draenor here by herself. We then pull the Siege Master in with Zul'Gurmux here. Burn this down. Once the Siege Master's dead and Zul'Gurmux is sort of under control on some of these other mobs, you're going to pull in this single Infiltrator by themselves. You obviously don't want to do all of this Zul'Gurmux, the Siege Master, and the Infiltrator at the same time unless the key's low enough and you've got huge DPS or something like that. You're then going to go and pull this Infiltrator pack that's got the Pit Warden in it. Again, there's an ability on the Pit Warden, the Brutal Inspiration, which is why you don't want to pull too much with the Pit Warden. It increases the damage by all other enemies around it by 15%. We're then going to do the boss Flesh Render with this Infiltrator over here. We're just going to pull that singly onto the boss. We're then going to do the Iron Star pull. So you'll mount up, you'll run past these 2 laborers here, down into here, you'll grab this padding one, tag this pack here, clump them up, and that star will go over them and collect that. You'll then do this second pull here where you'll probably end up tagging like this pack and putting them together. This star will roll over these, and then you'll use this star to clean up whatever's left over that doesn't get hit in here, and this end pack here. I will talk about it in the video as well. There is ways where you can run all the way up here, skip these mobs. You can actually grab this pack here and bring them back to a star and roll over it. It's an extremely quick way to clean out this gauntlet. It does take some practice, and again, it's not ultra pug friendly. Going to run up here after the stars are done. We're going to double pull this pack here. You'll have 2 Infiltrators. Watch the cannon barrages, use the boxes to run around. We're going to pull this Labourer into this pack here. You have to watch the spinnies and the fire on the ground. Do this pack. We're going to do the boss. Then going to run up this gauntlet here. So we're going to do this as a double pull. These 2 single mobs, even though they're spread out. This, and then this pats up and down. We can just wait for it to get here and we can run right around it, not worry about it. Do Osha onto the boat, finish up with Scolar. So let's go through the commentary. Let's talk about it. Okay, so getting into this Iron Docs run that I'm going to show you today. Now, there are a number of different routes that you can take in Iron Docs. I'm going to pause it right here and just talk over them really quickly. One that you will see people doing a lot of is they will invis or shroud or mind soothe, invis pot generally though, let's say, into this first opening area here, hero, and blow this Zul'Gurmux pull up first with the mini boss. The problem with this, in a pug especially, is if you wipe here, you really have no wipe recovery. Like, you have to clear this area and you've kind of failed already and you've set yourself back. You used to be able to Warlock Gate over the top here. That's been fixed and you can't do it anymore. So the route I'm going to show you today is just real stock standard, no invis skip, press W, and it'll work like all the way to a 25 pretty safely provided you play it clean. So that's the route we're looking at today. So what we're going to do is we're going to, it's fortified, we're going to double pull and hero to start off the key, get hero on CD straight away. And there's a few things you can do through this that I'm going to show you. So as the tank, and I should have done it in this, but I don't. If you want to group this up really nicely, I advise pulling this, and pulling the Battle Master and hiding in this little, like at this pillar. What it'll do is it'll force everything into line of sight, and then you can move back to this middle part here, because this is where you want to tank it. The reason you want to tank it here, the foot soldiers have a charge, and if you're range, you can see them here at the top of the screen on the left here. If you're ranged and healer, run and hide behind this wagon here. It'll pretty much lines of sights the foot soldiers, and they can't charge away. They don't do their charge off. So, but you need to be in range. If you're standing over here, you're out of range for your healer. So they'll be tucked in this little corner over here. You want to be in this middle part here. So group them up here, then move over into the middle. Makes life nice and easy. Now, you're going to get an Infiltrator in this opening pull if you have never encountered an Infiltrator before. 3 abilities to watch out for: Vampiric Claws, Nightmare Cloud, and Carrion Swarm. Vampiric Claws is shadow damage, and it heals the mob for 300% of the damage dealt. So use something like AMS or a cooldown here to negate some of that damage, reduce the heal. They'll do a purple cloud, which you'll sleep if you walk into, and they do a big frontal called Carrion Swarm. If anyone gets hit by this, reduces their healing received by 50% for 10 seconds. Not good. The Deadeyes in this will cast Iron Shot at random people. You can't interrupt it, you can stun it though, it's just straight damage. They also cast a Leg Shot that reduces movement speed for 5 seconds. And they'll do a Shrapnel Blast, which hits all enemies within 15 yards of that frontal. The Incinerators cast Incendiary Slug. It's not kickable, you can stun it, it leaves a 6-second dot that ticks for fire damage. And the Foot Soldiers will leap out, which, as I mentioned, you can stop this if your range go and hide behind the little wagony thing. That will stop that. Now, you will also get this Battle Master here. Now, this Battle Master pats up and down, so you might not get it at the start of the pool, but it will eventually walk into your pool. Now, the Battle Master, it's pretty chunky. Like, it hits for a fair bit of damage. The big thing to watch out for on the Battle Master is the Blade Storm. So it'll do a chain drag, which will drag a person into melee range, and then the Battle Master will also do a Blade Storm. People just need to watch out for that and make sure they move. That's about it on this opening pool. So double pool there, hero, and then we've cleared out this first area, and then we're going to move up to this next area. Now, we're going to do this next pool with Champion Draenor, the Incinerator, and the Foot Soldier, but we're going to do it by itself. Now, if you really wanted to, you could drag the other mini-boss into this, but Champion Draenor actually buffs the mobs around her for damage, so you just kind of want to be careful about what you're pulling in with this. Draenor will get archers to rain arrows down, and they'll also get these burning arrows, which put a bunch of fire on the ground. You just need to make sure that you move. We've covered off the other mobs in this, but there's nothing wrong with doing that opening pull, hero, spending your cooldowns, and then pulling this one to recharge your CDs for the next pull that you're going to do, which is going to have Zul'Gurmux and the mini-boss in it. So yeah, you can 100% just fight this pull by itself. You don't have to get overly creative in regards to what you're pulling in here. Farm back your cooldowns, and then you can go for this next pull here. Now, next up in this pool, we're doing the mini-boss, so Siege Master Olgalar, Zul'Gurmux, and you can split this up. If you really wanted to, and it's a lower key and you're not as pressed for time, you could pull the Siege Master by itself, and then you could do the Zul'Gurmux pack in the middle. Play to this, whatever you kind of like, how your DPS is and things like that. So the Siege Master will cover off really quickly. Does a Shattering Strike on you. This is actually slow enough where you can move out of the way. So if you've got like a 10% bonus speed, which as a DK, if you use Death's Advance, Warriors, Intervene, Heroic Leap, anything Monks, Roll, you can actually get out of Shattering Strike without even taking the damage just by moving backwards out of it. He'll also occasionally throw his weapon somewhere. It's just like a Ravager, just move from the spinny weapon. Zul'Gurmux, if you've never encountered before, is worth 3 stacks of the bounty. So you get 6% of the buff for killing Zul'Gurmux, which makes it worth killing. Now, Zul'Gurmux has Shadow Claws, so it hits you with shadow damage, which ticks for every 1 second for 12 seconds. You can dispel this and it stacks. Blood Barrier, Zul'Gurmux will shield herself with a Blood Barrier and heal whilst that's going on. You need to be able to break through the shield to be able to interrupt to stop the healing. Shadow Eruption is a big purple cloud that goes around Zul'Gurmux. It's a 4-second cast if you get hit by it. Your healing is reduced by 70% for 10 seconds. Move out of the big bad purple cloud. And Zul'Gurmux will also summon an annoying bat which will cast Hypnosis, which you need to stun. You can't grip it in, but disorientates like Incap, Roar, Fear, Storm Bolts, Shockwaves, Asphyxiates, all that kind of stuff. Paralysis will work, but something like Grip and that won't. Trap also works to get rid of it as well. Once we've sort of killed a little bit of that, we're going to pull these 2 Foot Soldiers into the middle of this. You could have pulled those 2 Foot Soldiers in originally as well if you were comfortable in dealing with it. We just sort of chose to chain it in here. This was one of the first Iron Docks that I'd kind of done as well. So in terms of being sure of everything and what the damage was going to be like and how pulls were going to feel, I was probably a little bit unsure of myself as well. But we're going to clean this pull up, and then we're going to do the next pack over here before we go on to the first boss. So finishing these last 2 Foot Soldiers up here, we are going to do this next Infiltrator pack here, and there is a Pit Warden, another mini-boss style mob in this pack as well. See, I didn't even know sort of what was going on. I was checking the route as we were going. So in this one here, we're going to pull this pack here. So there's an Infiltrator, and then there's the Pit Warden here. Now the Pit Warden does a Blade Storm, so again, just need to move away from the Blade Storm. The Pit Warden will do a Chain Drag and a Charging Slash. So same as before, like on the Battle Master, the Chain Drag will drag someone into his melee range, and the Charging Slash will see the Pit Warden charge out to a player. The Pit Warden also casts Brutal Inspiration, which is why you have to be a little bit careful on some of these packs. So Brutal Inspiration buffs nearby enemies, gives them 50% more attack speed and 15% more damage. So you kind of want to be careful about just how much you pull onto this and things like that, and have some form of DPS for this pack here. Then it's on to the first boss, Fleshrender Nokgar. Now, Fleshrender's a 2-phase fight. The first phase is mounted on top of Dreadfang, and then the second phase is at 50% where he dismounts and you fight both of them. Now, we're going to grab the Technician over here. Now, a nice little tip with Technicians, or not with Technicians, sorry, with disguised mobs as infiltrators, they don't socially aggro. So you can see all these mobs around here. If you normally pulled this mob, it would chain other things. Because it's an infiltrator though, you can pull this mob, it doesn't socially aggro. So nice and easy. So you're going to grab this infiltrator, and we're going to take that onto Fleshrender, sorry. So while mounted, Fleshrender's got two main abilities to watch out for. There's barbed arrows that the archers shoot, and there's a bunch of arrows that will go on the ground, aimed at people's locations. They just need to move out of the arrows. The second one to watch out for are burning arrows. So these create flame patches around the encounter area. You just need to make sure that you are continuing to move the boss out of the flaming arrows. Otherwise, it makes it an area of denial for people to actually be able to hit. And then you're having all kinds of problems with people standing in fire and things like that. 50% is the dismounted phase. So you've got Dreadfang and Nokgar here. Dreadfang is your priority target to burn here. You want to get this wolf down as fast as you can. So Dreadfang has two abilities. It'll periodically leap towards someone's location with shredding swipes, which deals damage to everything in the front line of Dreadfang. And the second ability to watch out for is this one that's going off here, which is Savage Mauling. Now, Savage Mauling is huge damage over a 6-second channel. Whoever gets hit by this, make sure they pop a defensive, especially on higher keys. It deals quite a bit of damage. Protection Paladins here, you can use Blessing of Protection on the targeted player for this. I believe Blessing of Freedom also completely nullifies this as well. So burn through Dreadfang. It is your absolute priority target. Everyone needs to be on it. Now, Nokgar's main ability to watch out for, which just got cast then, is Reckless Provocation. And when this is cast, any ability that deals damage to Nokgar, even auto attacks, will fear you for 2 seconds. So you either need to cancel your attack and click off, or if you're a DK, you can use AMS or Lichborn and continue to attack. Otherwise, Icebound Fortitude will also break it. Paladins attacking, if you still had Bubble, you'd be able to use that. I believe Warriors, Berserker Rage works as well. And if you're Blessing of Freedom yourself as well, I'm pretty sure that works, but don't quote me on that. I haven't done this on a Paladin, and I may very well just be talking shit. So that's it. There's nothing really to cover else otherwise on this one. You can see I'm using AMS here for the Reckless Provocation. Stay out of the burning arrows. Make sure you give your melee room to be able to hit the boss. Watch out for the arrows. That's about it. So we're going to skip through Nokgar once he's down. Now, we're off to the Iron Star area. There are 3 Iron Stars in this next zone bit over here. And what we want to do is we want to kill as much trash as possible with the Iron Stars. Now, there are 2 laborers up here, and there are 3 more padding along here. Easy thing you can do is take this laborer, and a padding one that's down here. You can pull 3 laborers into a pack. The cap for an Iron Star is 15 targets, and we can wipe out sort of 2 packs basically, and 3 laborers straight off the bat. And there's another pack up here that you'll hit with the Iron Star. So I should have actually stayed mounted for a lot longer than this. You can stay mounted and run all the way through here, which is what I should have done. I tag this one, and then I'm forced to blow a defensive. Now, there's not a problem. Like, I don't have any packs that I'm going to tank anytime soon, so it's no issues in using a defensive or something like that. So I'm going to pull these 3 laborers, and then I'm going to pull all this pack of deckhands, and I'm just going to lump them up here for the first Iron Star. And as I said, don't be afraid. I actually prop Perg here. I should have been a little bit more proactive. I should have popped Dancing Room Weapon too. So we roll the first Iron Star over that, and then we've got 2 more Iron Stars, and you can see it hits the pack up the top here as well. Padding times, you've got 2 more laborers padding up there. You know, pat wise, if you were lucky, you'd be able to get them and things like that, but it doesn't really matter. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this pack and this pack together, and we're going to roll an Iron Star from the middle, and it's kind of going to go up this way. So I'm going to pull this pack over to this bit, and the pack up the top is actually walking back at the moment. So the middle Iron Star is going to trek over all of these. We kind of missed these ones on the outside. That's probably my little bit bad. I took it a little bit too far. And we clipped the ogre on here. We missed that pack up the back, but then this final star in the corner is actually going to roll over all of this, and then it's going to hit that pack up the back, and we've now successfully cleaned out basically the entirety of this area. I think there's like 2 mobs up there. That's all that's left. Now, there is a couple of things that you can do that we used to do back in the old days, you know, when I was cool. you can actually ride, and people are doing this now. You can invis all the way up to here, or you can find some way to get up here without pulling aggro. You can actually run along the Iron Stars and run all the way up the wall here without pulling anything if you wait for pats. And you can get to here, and then you can actually ride in on your mount, and you can pull the gauntlet pack that's just around these boxes, and you can ride them all the way back to the Iron Star and roll an Iron Star over them. It's a really easy way to get rid of a lot of a percent, but you need a fairly coordinated group in regards to the slows and making sure the person in the Iron Star waits for the mobs to get close enough and then rolls the Iron Star over the trash. But it is a really effective way to get rid of these mobs. If you don't do it though, the way I've just shown you is absolutely fine. When you get up here, there's an infiltrator pack, and there's another pack that will run to here. As soon as you get up here, it will have one laborer in it, and then it will have the infiltrator and these deckhands. So you can see here, you can actually move them out into this bit on the dock here. Scolar is over here shooting out cannons. If they get hit by the cannons, they take damage, but you do need to try and leave them out. Now, the deckhands will be doing a hatchet toss. They throw a bunch of these spinny little hatchets that move. You just need to watch out for them. They're like mini ravagers, but they will hurt if you get hit by them, so just watch out for them. Same things apply on the infiltrator. Just watch out for the frontal, the shadow claws and things like that. And that's pretty much it. The sleep clouds, you can see Scolar's up on the boat here, so he'll fire two sides of the gauntlet. Right now he's firing at this side. As soon as this is finished, he'll fire over to the other side of the gauntlet. You wait for it to be safe, you mount up and you run. You've got these boxes to hide behind as well if you need. We have another laborer here. We have some deckhands and flame singers. Now, what's going to go on here? You can pull this Ogron. You can split this up however you like. So a couple of new mobs in here, the flame slingers, the deckhands, and the technicians. So the Gromcar technicians here, they'll spawn oil puddles on the ground, which are called grease, via ability called grease file, sorry. If you move into these, you get knocked down. If the flame slinger hits a player standing and it was the flaming arrows, they ignite puddles on the ground. They'll also put fire on the ground anyway by flaming arrows. This can turn into a pretty sort of deadly pull. So just be really aware of the spinning chains on the ground. Be well aware of the laborer. It will do a flurry on the tank. It'll also do a massive stomp as well, and just watch your flaming arrows. So it's a tight space to do this sort of pull, so just be aware of that. It can get really sort of cramped for room, but if you can leave that laborer hanging out in the cannon patch, it will take quite a bit of damage from cannons. Not a whole lot, but like it'll knock off a couple of percent each hit, which is better than nothing. So yeah, just know that. So then we're going to move the laborer into this next bit, just using the line of sight here. You can see the fire from Scolar is going off on this side of the gauntlet at the moment. So next it'll be over here. We're going to kill this laborer, and then we're going to go into the pack here. Now there's another battle master in here. So same at the start, you'll have the chain drag. You'll have the Brostorm to watch out for. You've got the flaming arrows from the flame singer, and you've also got the infiltrator that'll be doing its frontal. So again, just watching out for all of that stuff. You've got your line of sight here from the cannons. Your your range could be standing over here where we were just fighting that laborer as that line of sight. Not everyone has to be in this little cramped up area dodging fire and things like that. Another thing you can do when you're here and the cannons aren't going, someone can run around, start the RP for the boss. It'll actually stop Scolar from shooting the cannons on the boat, so you don't have to worry about that unless you're hanging the mobs out for them to take cannon damage. So we're going to move through them, and then we're going to get onto the second boss, which is the Grim Rail Enforcers. So once that's down, we're going to mount up and we're going to run around, and we're onto the bosses. Now, this is a 3-style boss encounter. The bosses don't share health, but the one that you want to kill ASAP is Dugru or Durgru or Dugru. Yeah, I'm going with Dugru on the left here. This is the one that you want to absolutely nail down first, as it slows the encounter down massively the longer that Dugru is alive. Now, Dugru and Emberblade have aggro tables. You can tank them, so watch these two. And this is really bad positioning by me here. Now, Luna rips aggro here. So I didn't put enough into Emberblade anyway, but standing here while my party's out here is really bad. As the tank, stand here and face Emberblade away. The reason is that Emberblade does a flaming slash, which dashes through you in a straight line. So me standing here and having aggro on Emberblade is going to mean that either my party has to be spread out of here, which is fine, they can do, but as the tank, make life as easy as you can for your party and have it facing well the fuck away from them. So a couple of things to cover off here. Nisa Nox will just spam gunshot, which is just physical damage. Nox will also periodically spawn traps on the ground around a player. Watch to not stand in these. You might need to move the bosses away as well. Nox will also cast Bomb Squad, which is this tiny bomb that comes running out, walks out, casts Big Boom. It's a big orange swirl. People just need to not stand in it. Emberblade will cast that Flaming Slash, which dashes forward through you, and it Blade Storms along the way, with the Blade Storm being its largest hit point halfway through the charge, so you can actually sidestep out of that and avoid getting hit at all. He'll also cast a Lava Sweep, which is big-ass fire waves that just spew out across the platform. You need to just make sure that you don't get hit by them. Durga will spam cast Blood Bolts. You just want to kick them, and periodically she'll cast Sanguine Shield. You want to make sure, now we've killed it while I'm battling, but you want to make sure when Sanguine Shield goes off, it goes off on the lowest target, it goes off on the lowest health boss, which is always going to be her, because we're trying to burn through Durga as quick as we can. So it's going to come up in a second, and I'm just going to wait for it while I talk. Here it comes here, Sanguine Sphere. Puts a shield around the lowest health boss. It's a massive absorb. If you break through the absorb though, it heals Durga and the other bosses around it. And it heals for a fair bit. It's like 15% or something like that. It used to be massive. I think it's 15% at the moment. You don't want to break it. So switch off. When the shield goes on Durga, or if you're killing another boss lower, when it goes on, switch to another boss. Don't break the shield if you can help it. It's pretty easy to break, to be honest. If it does break, it's not the end of the world. And I think it actually gets broken here, but if you can avoid breaking it, avoid breaking it. So you can see here we broke it. Durga was on 6%, goes back to like 20%. So it's about a 15% heal from where it was to where it went. So try not to break it. And all the other bosses heal as a result of it as well. So that just sets you back, and that's pretty much it. You can see the traps here. The traps deal quite a lot of damage. They can be really hard to see as well. So just as the tank, if you need to, try and move out. There's that Flaming Slash. So that's pretty much all there is for these bosses. They are a pain in the ass. Hero here is generally a good move as well. So we're just going to skip all the way through here, and we're going to get up to this next section. Now, this next section, we're going towards this. So it's sort of like a massive straight line gauntlet. It's not really a gauntlet, but it's shit. Now, in the olden days, when I was cool, again, there's a lot of olden day references here. You used to just skip. They used to just death run this entire straight line because, to be honest, it's all pretty shit. But it seems that the way now is pulling all this. So, and there's some nasty trash packs along this way. So the Cleft Hoof here does a trampling stampede. So it'll kind of face you while it casts this, and then it'll turn around and bugger off to Narnia in a different direction. The Thunderlord Wranglers will drop jagged caltrops on the floor, so if you stand in them, it deals damage, it snares you. They'll also put a random dot on players via Serrated Spear. They'll also do a frontal cast called Rending Cleave that you need to watch out for. The other big pain in the ass for them is they disengage, and it is generally impossible to try and keep them clumped up. So you got a Cleft Hoof and a Wrangler in this first position here. Take a bit to get through. Then you move up into this next pack here where you've got 3 Wranglers and a Cleft Hoof. One of them is disguised as an Infiltrator, so you get an Infiltrator here and a Cleft Hoof. So you'll have... Whoops. Let me go back here. Plat. So we're going to kill that. Then we're going to move up into this next pack here where you'll have 3 Wranglers, one's disguised as an Infiltrator, and a Cleft Hoof. Now here... You need to watch out for everything on the Infiltrator that we've covered off. Here is really annoying though. You'll have the Cleft Hoof charging off. You'll have the Wranglers disengaging out. So anything like Kyrian Spears and things like that you can keep them from disengaging out. If you're a Necrolord and you've got A-Bomb Limb, things like that, massively helpful for keeping them. And you can also throw a Rot behind them from when they go to disengage away from you, where they get knocked back. Stuns otherwise. Whatever you've got, just don't let them get out. So once we get through that pack, which isn't really a bad one, we move up to the next one, which I think... so then we're on to this pack here. So it's this pack up here, up the top, is the worst one, but this one here is not too bad. So you get a Wrangler and a Flame Splitter. Yes, Flame Spitter here. Now, the Flame Spitter, it does a frontal, which is a Lava Blast. And I'll also set random fire puddles on the ground via Lava Barrage. Now, warriors can actually spell reflect the puddles, so that is pretty cool. Does a fair bit of damage, but the Wrangler does everything the same, all the same annoying shit. Just get the Flame Spitter down. The fire deals quite a bit of damage, and it persists like for a fair bit of time. So the longer these are alive, you know, the more fire there kind of is going around. It's not too bad with the 2 here. There are routes as well, by the way, I should say, where you skip these 2 and this pack here with an Invis Pot, because you can make it through 2. And generally these are fairly time consuming. You don't want to fight 2 mobs on their own there, but you don't want to fight those 2 mobs with this pack either. So it's kind of time consuming and a bit of a waste. Coming up to the top here, you get a Cleft Hoof, 2 Wranglers, and a Flame Spitter. So again, The Cleft Hoof's charging off to Narnia. The Wranglers are disengaging, and then you've got the Flame Spitter shooting fire and shit all over the place. Again, you just need to try and kill these as quick as you can. Avoid standing in the fire. Try and group the mobs up. Watch the caltrops on the ground here, as they will snare you and deal damage as well. It's just not a very pleasant fight to fight because of positioning wise. It's just really annoying. So we've covered all the mobs off in that though, so we're going to skip through this and keep this moving. This pack here, if you want, you can fight them or you can skip them. So if you want another stack of the bounty, you can absolutely fight them. If you've got them in your route for percentage, you can fight them as well. You get a Battle Master here, which we've already covered off all the stuff with the Battle Master. We get an Infiltrator, and we get Rorka here, which is the same as the Siege Master before in the Zolgamux pool. So there's the Shattering Strike that you can move out of, remember, and this Throw Gate Crash is the Ravager weapon throw. So there'll be a weapon that spins on the ground. You just need to make sure you move from that as well. So them, pretty basic, no issues at all. So clean them up, move out of the Shattering Strike. Remember, you can do that if you have to. And then we're going to get onto the boss, Osha. Now, Osha here is an interesting boss. There's a way you can actually bug this out, and I'm sure it'll get fixed. If you tank it right in the corner around like one of these cages, it actually does nothing and turns into a target dummy. That'll probably get fixed though. So what I'm going to show you is the way to tank it in between the two cages here, which just cuts down travel time for melee and makes it really easy. So you're going to drag Osha where the skull is basically, and you're going to face it into the cages. Don't tank it facing this way or facing out into the middle. Tank it facing into one of these cages. So Osha's got two abilities to watch out for. Primal Assault, which will see Osha jump backwards and then run forwards doing this Berserker Thrash. You just need to make sure that you move out of the way, which you can see it going off right now. So the reason for tanking the boss here as well is for that ability, when the jump back happens, it means that it travels and it just goes into the cages. Melee don't have to run out chasing it. It doesn't get any gaps to fall out of melee range where they can hit it. It just makes life nice and easy. It just means that they have to move. That's the reason for putting it here. The other ability is Time to Feed. Now, Osha will pick a random target, pick them up with Time to Feed, and this ability will continue until Osha loses 8% of his maximum HP. Deals a lot of damage. Like, it deals a lot of damage to the person, so you need to burn through that 8% really quick, and the person that gets picked needs to make sure they pop a CD. Paladins can use Blessing of Freedom here as well to get them out of it, so just be aware of that. Now, throughout the fight, Osha is going to cast Breakout, and it'll leap to a cage, and you can actually see what is inside the cages when you get there. So there's a wolf inside this cage. If it goes to a cage with a wolf in it, it's going to break out 5 ravenous wolves. If it goes to a bigger cage with a flying sky terror out, it's going to break a flying sky terror out. So here it's broken out the wolves. So you always get one of the two. So it's broken out the wolves here. Now with the wolves, they have a buff that goes on all of the other wolves that increases their damage. You want to put any form of stuns you have on these wolves and absolutely melt them down, because even though you've got aggro on them as the tank, they will look at somebody else and they will chomp them. So make sure you disintegrate them as soon as possible. Keeping Osha in this position here, because when it's going to do that jump back, it'll do this time. There's the Time to Feed actually, so you can also feign death that off. I think Vanish should work for a rogue as well. So if you've got a combat drop, you can get out of it that way. Osha doing the jump back here, and here's that really nice positioning where you don't lose any uptime on them, uptime on Osha whatsoever. Makes life nice and easy. Here's the next breakout, so it's going over to the Sky Terror here. You can trap it, you can paralysis, you can whatever you've got to incapacitate it, do it. Now, if you don't, you can hex it as well, sorry. If you don't have this option, you'll need to have a kick rotation, stun it, or the other thing that you can do with it is just run the boss over next to it and just interrupt each cast as the Sky Terror goes off, because it'll continuously just cast Acid Spit. Make sure that you're getting the interrupts on it, and then just sort of cleave it down. But trapping it, CCing it is absolutely the number one play that you really want to look for on this, and try and keep Osha in here as much as you can just to keep that melee uptime. So that's pretty much it for Osha, and then we're going to move to the last boss. So getting that down, we're moving to the very last boss, Scolar. Now, Scolar is kind of encountered by two other bosses, Coromar and Zogosh. So Zogosh is actually unattackable at the start. It jumps into a turret. While he's in there, he'll cast Rapid Fire, so that deals damage on any player. It like fixates on a player, and if you get in between the fixated player and the turret, you will take damage from that as well. So just try and clear out of your group with that if you get targeted by it. Coromar has two abilities, a Frontal Cleave, which is called Shattering Blade, and Berserker Leap, which will leap to a player and it'll cause damage to anyone within 8 yards of that leap location. So we're just waiting for heroism here, and then we're going to go and bust a nut on the boss. Now, around every 40 seconds, Scolar is going to do a stomp, which is going to send everyone to the back of the ship. Cannon barrage starts out of Scolar, and then you just need to make sure that you use the boxes to line of sight to get back up to the top. So you can see we engage the boss here. Heroism goes straight away. We're bursting down Coromar as soon as we can. There's that berserking leap, which you can see. So there's an 8-yard range around that. Scolar hits pretty hard as well. Like, this is fortified, it's not too bad. But on Tyran, just be aware. You want to try and get as much cleave into these as possible. Scolar will do the knockback, so the quicker you can kill Scolar, you know, you don't have to worry about the knockback. But you do want to make sure that you are getting Coromar down as quick as you can. So once Coromar's dead, Zogosh comes out of the turret, so you can see Zogosh coming out here. You can also see here's that knockback. Now you can gateway up from this Grom Smash here, so you can have a gateway set here, and you can gateway, like, you can either gateway to here or you can set the gateway up here. This is the smart spot to put the gateway here to here. Now, if you've got a Demon Hunter, if you're a Vengeance Demon Hunter, you could Infernal Strike all the way and get to the end before this Cannon Barrage goes off. If you've got anyone else with movements, all you need to do is get to melee range of Scolar. If you melee him, Cannon Barrage will stop. So somebody can get up here and stop that. If you can't do that, you just want to run to this box here, hide, wait for the Cannon Barrage, and then go up. So as a DK that's a bit slow, I'm going to Death's Advance, and I'm just going to hide here. Zogosh is out now, so he'll follow us all the way down the ship. Waiting for the Cannon Barrage to finish. You can see it up here going on the cast bar. Then I'm going to Warlock Gateway, get into range before the next one goes off, hit Skulllock, and away we go. So don't risk it in regards to killing yourself, but if you can get up to Skulllock, it's just a really easy way to shut that down quite quickly. So Zogosh here as well, just keeping Zogosh on, just trying to cleave them both down as quick as we can. We're going to get one more knockback here, so you can see the knockback here. I think it's every 40 seconds. I didn't watch where that timer was, but I think it's every 40 seconds you'll get the knockback. So you'll generally get 2 knockbacks. I think it's pretty safe to say on the higher keys, you might end up getting 3. So we're just putting as much damage into Scolar here. You can see Zogosh just kind of melts down. He has far less health than Scolar does, so there's no real point in focusing him. Gron Smash comes out again, so this time here, we're going to have to move. Lunar didn't actually get punted back with the Gron Smash. It bugged out, so that can happen sometimes. But if that happens, you can't just stay there and melee him. The boss will still Cannon Barrage and you'll die. So if that happens, you need to leg it back for line of sight. What Luna didn't know, because he's a bit special, is you can actually line of sight behind this one here. So he heroic leaps all the way back here and takes damage, but he could have just gone here. And because he's my friend, I can hang shit on him like that. So moving out of the Cannon Barrage, going back up now, get a melee. You can see Hunter's got all the way up here, so is the Warlock, and on that, break Scolar out of the Cannon Barrage, finish up, nice and easy. And there it is. So any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you check out the channel for all the other dungeon guides we've covered off here, and join the Discord if you got any questions, hit me up. Thanks, fam.